Good evening. Hello, everyone. It's Rail Natter. Well, I did have some plans for tonight's episode. Really nicely worked out plans. You know, it was one of our classic organic network growth episodes for East Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, and then, well, we got overtaken by events. But before we talk about that, I just want to hand over to, if you like, an unofficial ambassador for Rail Natter to just say a few words about political aspiration, the current era. Take it away, Zoran.
In writing this address, I have been told that this is the occasion to reset expectations, that I should use this opportunity to encourage the people of New York to ask for little and expect even less. I will do no such thing. The only expectation I seek to reset is that of small expectations. Beginning today, we will govern expansively and audaciously. We may not always succeed, but never will we be accused of lacking the courage to try.
Thanks to you lovely Patreon supporters there. Thanks for those lovely words. Bear those words in mind, everyone, because believe it or not, it's possible to do things as a politician rather than tell everyone why you are not doing things. Or rather, to do good things. Those Patreon supporters are the ones who allow this to happen. We're going to get started on the show just in any second now, but I just want to give those folks a good shout out, particularly for a £5 above supporter. You make this happen. Also, you get bonus stuff. More on that later. Anyway, there's a lot of you out there looking forward to this show. Let's crack on, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Rail Natter. And as the Intercity 225 fades away, it only really remains for me to say, firstly, to dramatically show you half my face. No, there we go. Hello, everyone. To those new watching Rail Natter, this is what it works like. We're going to just get straight into it. We're going to first of all talk about what the plan was. And then think a little bit about what the plan was. We're going to look in detail at what has been proposed, paragraph by paragraph. There are 22 paragraphs. We're going to go through each one, picking out the key things that have actually been promised. We'll look at overall what's actually being delivered and remind ourselves why it's important to look at some very specific elements. Specifically, what I mean is what's been left in terms of new infrastructure, new high-speed infrastructure, because that's the stuff that actually creates the maximum benefit. Not the other stuff is bad, but it's just inadequate, hopelessly inadequate. And then we will just very briefly nudge ourselves into thinking what we might get in the future and what we ought to get in the future. So that's the plan. Gareth, the other Gareth, one of the many Gareths, is currently reminding everyone in the chat there is a Gareth Rail Natter bingo if you want to laugh at all my various shenanigans. No, and yes, I do still need a haircut. So what was the plan? 2018 was when we first sort of saw a reasonably robust form of Northern Powerhouse Rail, but specifically tied to a number of a government commitment, which was £70 billion committed by George Osborne to deliver. Had been committed by George Osborne, and then successive governments had committed to delivering a solution, but specifically and crucially involving high-speed rail. So involving a high-speed line from Liverpool through to Manchester, through via Manchester Airport to Manchester, relying, of course, on significant section of HS2 itself, and then whizzing from Manchester via a new station in Bradford to Leeds. And then also with substantially upgraded connectivity nominally on the existing network into the lines to York and towards Hull. So that was the proposal for Northern Powerhouse Rail for what it was worth. It was a stupid name. We should always have been calling it the Trans-Pennine High Speed Line, because if we had, then what we're about to talk about would be almost impossible to happen. So that's not true, actually. Names don't make a difference. Stuff gets cancelled anyway. But it would have made it a bit more clear what it's supposed to be, rather than allowing it to be so easily swept into a lot of other stuff. So 2018, we sort of then see a walk back in 2021. Remember the integrated rail plan? Wop wop. Well, this popped up in 2021, which it was kind of heralded the. This is why I have this man here hostage, because he was the author of the National Infrastructure Commission's report that basically was copied verbatim into the integrated rail plan. But the integrated rail plan downsized those the 2018 proposals. In doing so, Transport for the North got very unhappy, and in response to it getting very unhappy, it had its statutory powers removed and its funding substantially reduced, which was nice of central government. Lovely lashing out there. And that reduced the new sections of high-speed line down to Warrington Bank Quay via the HS2 bit up to question mark. And for a while, that was supposed to be the end of Stanage or Diggle Tunnel, or the other end of it, how that was ever going to work, and how on earth they'd fit that in on the existing geography north of Manchester, who knows? But that was kind of nominally the proposal. And yes, and then as you know, that definitely stuck around, didn't it? There weren't any problems that, after that, everything was absolutely fine and safe and... Yeah, Network North arrived. We don't... What was Network North? Nobody knows. Absolute anarchy and chaos. Honestly incredible. It's amazing that it managed to continue in this... what was it? We'll never know. I suspect something dreamt up in a hotel with some stuff involved. Who knows? But it was a mess. That was 2024. That was the cancellation of HS2 as we know it in its almost total entirety. This what is this? What is this? Why is this in the north? What's that? What's this? What? Who? Just incredible. So Network North was just anarchy. So we're just going to kind of forget about it, because if we don't, we may get a headache. So. Now, an important reminder, in fact, that this is not, we've had Transpennine route upgrade in various forms, including full-scale electrification since the late 80s. And in the mid-90s, it was a very firm plan, an extremely firm plan with kind of, 1992 was kind of when the plans had started being developed. 1995 was when they were kind of outlined as Electric 2000, involving new 100-mile-an-hour rolling stock. This was not for a dedicated line. This was an upgrade of the existing line. This is what nominally is now Transpennine route upgrade in all of its glory, but with some of the extra stuff sort of sellotaped in. So this discussion of these upgrades is very long in the tooth. So it's tiring to see it being spun this way and that way. But that's sort of a little bit of a history of what was being proposed previous to now. But the bit you're all here for, right? This is the fun bit, which is, what is the plan now? By the way, if anyone has a specific question, this is Rail Natter. It's interactive. It's a unique podcast in that it is, I think possibly completely unique in that it is recorded live, which means you can ask things. Network of fan pointing out that you need a 100-mile-an-hour connection between Manchester and Leeds. No, you don't. You need a 200-mile-an-hour connecting railway between Manchester and Leeds. 100 miles an hour is what you have now. It needs to be higher than that, because you need the existing railway to be 100 miles an hour for fast commuting. What is the plan now? Let's have a look. So, to great fanfare and being picked up in painfully stenographic terms was the idea that Labour was reviving Northern Powerhouse Rail with a pledge of £45 billion of funds. So remember, 70 billion originally, now down to 45 billion. But it's still, what is the actual promise within that? Well, we'll get there in a minute. But the logic is that they're saying... plan will start with Transpennine upgrade with new line connecting Liverpool and Manchester in second place. Not the best subheading, to be honest, but basically it's saying, look, we're continuing with Transpennine route upgrade, which, look, it's good they're doing that rather than cancelling TRU or not progressing it. And although it's worth saying that, well, we'll get there. Staley Bridge to Huddersfield electrification notably absent. Anyway, let's other announcements coming through. I have nothing against Tracy Brabin, particularly. She got very angry at me recently with my suggestion that the West Yorkshire Mass Transit project was being completely canned. But she tweeted, well, no, she didn't. She Blue Sky tweeted this out, new Twittered this out as an announcement. Today, government is committed to electrify links across Yorkshire fixed capacity at Leeds and build a new Bradford station, unlocking potential across the north. As mayors, we worked with Lord Blunkett to make the case for Yorkshire's plan for rail, and the government has listened. Now, just have a little look at this, because I was sent this and I thought this is surely fake, trying to undermine Tracy Brabin and generally make a mockery of her. But no, I sourced a higher quality version of this. This was not something that had been created and added in. This was actually sent around, which is staggering because, as you can see, this map is very, very obvious text to image slop. Liverpool, there we go. Warrington, Manchester Airport, Manchester Airport again, baffling. Warrington, what? Hull, in wherever that is. I don't know what this. What's this geography, and why? What's this? What's that? And also Hull, and then also York, and York, and then also here. What is this? Everyone, remember, do not ever use text to image, and that's the end of that sentence. So, there we go. Also, whatever this is, don't what? It's just, this is the worst kind of slop. Just do not use this. I'm very pleased. Oh yeah, sorry, thrice Warrington. Warrington is also up here. Warrington's completed its total takeover of the Northwest. Warrington, which is the league team that I need to be scared of in Warrington. Yeah, this is rancid slop. Folks, you can avoid getting harangued on the internet for being cynical and not taking any of this seriously by simply not using AI slop ever. Very straightforward. Just don't use it. If you don't have an image that you can use, then don't use an image at all. And if you have more than 5 minutes to come up with a message, which I'm under the illusion some of the mayors weren't, then you can just pay someone to create that. You can just pay one of your grads to create it in PowerPoint. It'll take them about 15 minutes. There's a rail natter they can watch to understand how to do it. Anyway, so horrifying. Just makes me very angry to see this kind of slop being used. It makes a mockery of the whole industry and the whole North. So let's put that to one side. This is the document. The link to this is in the description, by the way. You can go in and read it yourself. There's going to be no manipulations. This is on the header. You'll notice here that there are three government agencies, government departments, I should say, up the top here. There's HMT, of course, boo. There's DFT, and then there's what used to be DLUC is now the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government. There is a little disclaimer on the top here. Applies to England. Well, yeah, interesting. I wonder how that plays into Barnett consequentials. More about that in the future. Right, so let's get into this thing, shall we? So, I've left out an annoying white stripe at the top of there. Everyone shall have to live with it. Right, fine. This is the section. So there are a few different sections, including a ministerial waffle at the start. Don't care about those. I'm ignoring them. We're going straight to the Northern Powerhouse Rail section and reading through paragraph by paragraph to pick out the key details. So this paragraph here, next step, government's ambition, no commitment in here, nothing. NPR has the potential to do this, to do that, fine, nothing. So this useless paragraph, ignore that. The North has experienced decades of underinvestment in rail. But at the same time, a growth in passenger freight service has seen intensive use of current network. This is correct, yeah. Previous investment in rail infrastructure in the North has not kept pace with growth. I mean, yeah, that's all correct. Why are you saying that when you and previous governments have presided over? Anyway, right. Okay, so that's a useless paragraph. Right. Government is already taking steps to change this. So this is saying, look, Trans-Pennine route upgrade, 11 billion quid. So, yep, TRU, we know that's happening. Fine. Leeds is having some upgrades in the station. Fine. Manchester Northwest Transformation Programme, which is like the latest iteration of Northern Hub. So yes, so we can put that to one side. Further, the government is setting out its commitment of over 100 million to upgrade Manchester Airport Station as part of that. So okay, so what that's saying is that's just one commitment. 100. So far we've seen 11 million for TRU and 100 million for Manchester Airport Station as actual numbered commitments here. Okay, so that tells us nothing about what's actually been committed, because that's all existing commitments, so we can ignore that paragraph. So we're 3 paragraphs in. Building on this, the NPR programme will seek to improve connections between the northern cities, delivering a turn-up-and-go railway for the Northern Growth Corridor. That's like we went through this before. They're just kind of, that's just the north, the link from Liverpool, Manchester across to Bradford and Leeds, fine. Liverpool, Manchester, Bradford, Leeds, Sheffield and York, fine. What they mean is just the kind of the Trans-Pennine urban core, fine, whatever. With regular services onward to Newcastle via Darlow and Durham, Hull and Chester for North Wales connections. Okay, yeah. So that's just saying what it's doing. Government's plans for NPR will bring connect. Okay, so add further major projects to the mayor's local growth factor. Okay, so that's not saying anything. Paragraph 5. The scheme will support major development plans around the stations. Okay, yep, that's a thing that usually happens. Gateway, but in York, underutilised brownfield railway land will deliver a whole new district. That's already happening. It's called York Central. That's nothing to do with this. So, what we're seeing is, I love the fact that the Sheffield Station campus master plan blueprint is being highlighted here, which is a thing that's been in the works for HS2 for an extremely long time. And just keep having to repurpose itself. And then it was like, well, electrification is arriving, and that got canned as well. So yeah, tremendous. So 5 paragraphs in, delivery plans. Okay, fair enough. 5 paragraphs of warm up. Let's not hold anyone against. Let's not hold that against anyone. So here we go. The government will take NPR forward and develop it in partnership with local leaders on the basis of clear and committed funding. The government is confirming up to 45 billion. Never like a footnote like that. Okay. 2025 price. In fact, someone pull up that footnote and tell us what it is. I didn't spot the AI mention. Who bingo? Tom S. What was the bingo ring? Which paragraph? Tell me. Right, at me as well, so it pops up in here. Right, so. It's worth saying, by the way, that the fact they're talking about Chester for North Wales might be their get-out-of-jail-free card to ensure they continue to not give Wales any money for railways off the back of this. Just a Mark, if you're listening, want to pay attention. So, right. 34. 2025 prices will be updated using GDP deflator. Okay, fine. Yeah, thanks. Oh my God. YouTube, why put people's names back? Anyway. So, 45 billion quid does not constitute a formal cost estimate, but a funding cap. That's actually good. I prefer us to do that. Give a funding cap, deliver what you can within that funding cap. I almost prefer that to like the bullshit around the shit around this is what it'll cost. Like no, just set how much money you're willing to spend on the thing and lock that in. You know what? I actually quite like that. That is an approach. Deliver what you can with that amount of money, fine. As long as it is suitably devolved and DFT and Treasury don't then get their grubby mitts on any decision making post that fact. So get a funding cap, fine. Seek to ensure its ambitions are delivered as cost effectively as possible within this funding cap. Great, fine. Yep, that makes some sense. I may think that cap should be higher, 70, for example. I may think that actually it's more importantly deliver the exact infrastructure, but I'd rather, if a cap is set, I'd rather at least that's committed to, and then something can be delivered within that rather than the umming and ahhing and left and right. Okay, so fine. Whilst infrastructure investment is expected to be centred on the primary corridor, many more communities will benefit through capacity for better local services. Well, you can only do that if you have new infrastructure, essentially. Okay. Or integration of main stations with local transport networks. Fine. So, but that's a 45 billion number. But what's actually being committed to there? So that's not really telling us much, but I'm not going to put a line through it because, fine. 45 billion for... You know what? Actually, I'm putting a line through it. It's not actually telling us anything. And it's not a funding commitment. It is just a cap. Confirming up to 45 billion is a funding envelope available. Okay. NPR ambitious infrastructure programs span multiple decades to maximize value of this infrastructure and integration with local development. They're firmly committed to developing and refining the scheme and collaborating with the local leaders. Fine. That doesn't say anything. So we're on to paragraph 8. Let's have a look. Funding for the program within this envelope will be allocated at future spending reviews. So it's not a commitment to 45 billion. It's just, we'll say 45 billion is a nice number, but actually we retain total veto over it, and it's going to be entirely within stupid budgetary cycles. Tremendous. This includes 1.1 billion of funding over the current spending review period. So that's all that's been committed. Is it 1.1 billion? 1.1 billion. Okay, noted. Which is already accounted for in DFT's budgets to support the development process. Then I go, wait a minute, 1.1 billion to develop this thing. Okay, so let's remind ourselves. If you're developing a piece of infrastructure, you can expect 20% of the total price of the capital cost of the infrastructure to be on development and design. That's the correct, good and proper thing to do. So 1.1 billion, that is meaning about costs for a £5 billion project. That, well, we expect more than that, but okay, 1.1 billion is a sizable chunk of money. Fine. You might be going, what? How much to design the thing? That's how much it costs to develop and deliver designs, complex designs for railways and for any project. That's just a standard project practice. Expect that. So going through here, 1.1, major construction works are expected in the 2030s. Okay, continuing through to 2040s. So that's 5 years of development time? Okay. Where the majority of the 45 billion will be allocated in line with the delivery phasing. Below, we'll get to the phasing. Right, so, okay. Funding will be allocated at future spending reviews based on, I assume, the most rapid way to deliver the infrastructure. Oh no, let me read this. The principles of annual affordability. Oh, okay. You know what? I need some tools here. Let's get some coping strategy out there. Because where's my soundboard gone? So my soundboard's run off. Sound show, yeah, where are you? Huh. Okay. Well, forget soundboard then. Yeah, okay. Oh, you know what I can do is if I'm gonna do this, I can do this and this. Oh, it's messier, but we can do this together, everyone. Right. Okay, so let's just read that again. The majority of the 45 billion will be allocated in line with the delivery phasing below. The funding will be allocated at future spend reviews based on the principles of annual affordability. Okay. Maintaining a balanced transport investment portfolio and ensuring supply chain stability. Okay. Right. It will be open to local areas to contribute additional funding from their own resources to allow even greater enhancements. From what resources? You haven't given them any way to raise money. Okay. To allow even greater enhancement and ensure that NPR is fully integrated into local transport and local development plans. Fine. I mean, yes, fine, but give more money to local people. Remember, everyone is owed in total transport terms now, since 1990 alone, about 10 grand each outside of the M25. Right, 10 grand per person in transport infrastructure. So let's just think, 10 grand. What's the population of Manchester? Let's see. Metropolitan area. Around 3 million people. So let's just, 3 million times 10,000. 30 billion. Okay, so what we're saying is there's 30 billion pounds to be allocated here. There is talk of GMCA, the Command Authority, being allowed to retain business rates, yeah. That would be nice, but more needed on that front. Right, so, fine. Majority funding will be from central government, which I'd rather it wasn't. I'd rather it came from the local areas. They get to decide. It shouldn't be from local central government. Anyway, right, okay. Go back to John Stone and I's episode on devolution. Like, none of this works without it. So, okay, fine. So that's given us something about commitment. Rail schemes like NPR can be a catalyst for growth, but government will not accept the runaway costs seen previously. Costs per mile of new rail in the UK are many times higher than those in other countries. I wonder why that is. Well, you don't need to wonder because we've covered it in Rail Natter multiple times. Cost, many times higher than those in other countries. Some of that can be explained because this is a crowded island. Nope, none of it can be explained by that. But that does not explain all the disparity. Government is committed to getting rail infrastructure costs back on track. We're going to cover this in the news later. And it's already made strides to address with planning reform. Government must and can go further to drive down costs. GBR will ensure that new infrastructure is specified and designed efficiently, considering the needs of the national system across infrastructure. Okay, that possibly, but again, only if you create a suitably skilled client organisation rather than outsourcing all of the design and development. Second, the government will launch a targeted external review of rail infrastructure costs. Another one. Tremendous. I wonder what we'll learn from that one now. Okay, so third, government will establish robust benchmarks for time. Okay, that's just useless then. We don't care about what's in that paragraph. It's not helpful. As part of this, government is determined to learn lessons from HS2, to accept the recommendations of James Stewart, see previous Rail Natter on the Stewart Review, which was a weak document. It said some things, but for the most part, it's pretty weak. Those lessons being applied across government portfolio. Fine. Again, rather than split it into lots of small bits, should be what they're doing. They're kind of saying that a program comprised of a range of different projects. Fine. That is correct. So that end of that paragraph there is some sense in that bit. Fine. Again, it's not actually saying what's being delivered. So reminder: how many paragraphs are saying what's actually being delivered? Well, in terms of actually saying what's being delivered, that one also doesn't say what's being delivered. So that's no. Okay. The commitment to NPR today will be followed by a thorough refinement process embedding the less of it. Okay, yeah, whatever, fine. Government plans for 3 phases of delivery. We're getting there, everyone. Phil Woodward asks, I'm confused. Do they want to have annual spending rounds, or do they want to ensure supply chain stability? They've said they want to do both, which makes 0 sense. Correct. Those are totally incompatible. Spending review should have no part to play in confirming whether this money gets spent or not. It should just be, oh yeah, no, you want to spend this? The 45 billion is there for whenever you want to spend it. Spend away. The quicker you can spend that money, the better. But no, apparently not. Tremendous. So paragraph 12. The government plans for 3 phases of delivery. So we're looking at the first phase, prioritising the quickest wins via upgrades to lines east of the Pennines for delivery in the 2030s. Okay, so delivering the 2030s, which is looking at basically electrification and some minor track realignments between Sheffield, Bradford and Leeds, or specifically between Leeds and Bradford, then up from Sheffield to Leeds. And it says that, Leeds, Bradford, Sheffield, Leeds, and Leeds, York. So that is going to be, so I reckon, being specific about this, Leeds, Bradford will include some new alignments. I actually worked on some of this back when I was doing NPR stuff for Network Rail a long time ago. Some new alignment between Leeds and Bradford, and some kind of enhancement work, tunnel reconstruction, breaking out. Sheffield Leeds involves electrification, some realignment, but not dramatic realignment. And Leeds York will involve basically like option G stuff from so it'll involve 4 tracking from basically from Neville Hill out to right the way, like 4 tracking right the way out through cross gates, and then tucking in before you get to Garforth, and then out again. So there's some of that work, which is really, it's TRU plus, but that's on network upgrades, which we know are limited in what they can achieve. West Coast route modernisation, perfect example. TRU will be a good example of that, because TRU is doing brilliant, incredible stuff, and will deliver some additional capacity relative to what a new line would have delivered. Anyway, I'm not saying that means it's not worth doing. It absolutely is. But anyway, right, so including the stations, while the government's immediate focus is improving frequency, reliability and journey times for links between the cities, its expectation of many of the trains used would be extensions of longer distance services. Meaning this package would also improve links from Yorkshire cities to Midlands, London, North East. Okay, fine. So this is kind of that the first phase is like eastern end of TRU plus, fine. So that actually does say some stuff. So we've got halfway through our paragraphs, and we're starting to see what's been delivered. And by the way, here's the map. So there is the map showing what's happening. Helpfully not telling us too much about what's going on. So phase 1 is this end here, this little situation going on over here, the little dingle-donger. Phase 2, Liverpool to Manchester, new line and upgrade. Clarity of what is where TBC. But again, this has been in the works. NPR team have been developing this behind the scenes for a long time. I get to say that because this is not under my current version of me at Network Rail. This is under my previous secondment into Network Rail as Arcadis. So I'm calling okay, not Saki from that one. So anyway, right, so there's that. And then phase 3 is, and explicitly stated here, and we'll get to the paragraphs, but it says, Manchester to Bradford, Leeds, Sheffield builds on TRU already being delivered between Leeds and Manchester. So, okay, what is that then? Let's find out. 13. The government will work closely with local leaders to align rail improvements with wider plans to modernise and unlock capacity at key stations. So, holistic plan for Leeds Station, fine. Pressing forwards with work already in hand with Bradford on the new station, St James Station, which I have mixed feelings on. Like, it's a good location for a station in theory, particularly if you pull the CBD towards that station. But also, it's like, does Bradford need 3 stations? Is that not... And like, is it really going to keep interchange? Because you need to move the whole bus station over there if you're doing that, because there's no point in having an interchange station and the bus is over there on a spur that nothing will ever use again. You need to move it in. RIP to the buffers there, by the way. That means the bus station needs to be moved over as well, which I guess would be the plan, I hope. I'm not entirely clear on that, but I would hope that's the plan. And then you'd retain Forster Square as the kind of the Leeds suburban electrified suburban network station, which again makes some sense. Connecting those 2 stations in like is not realistic, but not just vertically, but also or because there's stuff in the way. But anyway, for all sorts of reasons, the operation doesn't make much sense. But the new station being a through station does make some sense if you're totally getting rid of interchange, which I hope is what you'd be doing. Redesigned York Station master plan to ensure NPR supports York Central delivery of UK's largest city centre brownfield development site. Fine, yep, okay. So that makes some sense. Additional station capacity needed at Sheffield. Tram train interdependencies are fully explored as part of what's going on at Sheffield. While more substantial work on Sheffield-Manchester will come in phase 3, this phase will consider opportunities for unlocking capacity on this corridor sooner. Development work aligns with local plans for a new Rotherham station. Okay, fine. So, right. Economic case for further rail interventions in the North East. Oh, look, North East is involved. Leamside line. Don't do Leamside reopening for long-distance services. It's the wrong option. It's bendy. It doesn't go anywhere useful. It's the wrong solution. Go for a stick. Again, this is like, oh, what can we reopen that looks good? No, new line. See also previous episodes. New line. To enable Dina's eating salted almonds. New line to... She's also laughing at me smugly because the salted almonds are over there and I'm here. Right, okay, so Leamside reopening, okay, but it's not the right solution. See episode 222. We'll get there in a sec. Right, fine. Subject to agreement with that business case. Oh, I hate that sentence so much. There'll be some resources made available, for example, through the rail network enhancements pipeline. Is that still a thing? RNEP still a thing? I thought they'd given up on it. Government has already invested $4 billion in infrastructure enhancements that's already spent. No, you don't get to claim that. Don't put numbers in that you've already spent. Also, the government has, Labour haven't. Oh, cheeky. Okay, fine. Right, second phase. Michael C is saying, isn't the plan to shut Bradford and change Southland for London? I believe so. Yeah, that's right. Have I seen any schematics for York Station master plan? Some. Come to Yorick events if you want to see more detail on that front. New station at Rotherham, which I wasn't even aware of before today. No, neither was I. Second phase, west of the Pennines, would see major construction works in the 2030s and beyond. The other side of Manchester, though. New route between Liverpool and Manchester is a predominantly new line. That's an important bit of sentence there. Predominantly new line running between via new stations at Manchester Airport and Warrington Bank Quay low level. Oh, new stations. So that's basically the HS2 ex-HS2 station. And then going through low level, which was kind of a plan before. Phasing reflects delivery timescales inherent building. You mentioned new lines. Fine. Development work, including consenting, is fully funded in this Parliament. Work has resumed on the adapted high-speed rail Crewe Manchester bill to seek powers for the section of the route into Manchester. So it's basically saying we're hijacking that bit of the HS2 to do this. Fine. We'll also include a new station at Manchester Piccadilly. Okay. Exact details of this station are still to be determined. The government work closely with Greater Manchester to explore the evidence and analysis for different options available, including underground choices. Okay, so that's positive. It's good to see that's at least on the table. We'll touch on that momentarily. Improvements related to Liverpool Central are being considered alongside the work the government is undertaking with the Liverpool City region to look at options for a major regeneration scheme in the city centre. So a big hub station, possibly an underground one, possibly whatever they do. A hub station would make some sense. You leave Lime Street then as the regional station. That makes decent sense. So that is including... That's actually got some details in it. Fine. Unfunded, of course. But anyway. In parallel, government will bring forward development work for the connection to Liverpool via Warrington, including an assessment of possible gateway stations in Liverpool City region. Yep. Fine, that's just what they've said already. Okay, so that's not really saying anything new. This route is in line with key proposals of the Liverpool to Manchester Railway Board. We covered that recently, didn't we? And government will work with this board to develop detailed plans. In a way, that's good, right? It was a local local consortium of authorities at various levels. Good. Their plan, they want to do that. Excellent. I'm happy with that. I actually like that. That is kind of half the devolution, but fund it and allow them to then decide how they do it. Don't step in and get in the way. So, fine. Warrington benefiting from a multi-directional rail interchange. Ooh, sounds fun. No, Liverpool Central, Gareth, it would be a new station. It would be a new built station, totally underground cavern built. It wouldn't be the existing Liverpool Central. Communities in North Wales, here you go. Here's the we don't need to give you Barnet consequential bit. Communities in North Wales will benefit from better connectivity through Chester to the north largest cities, to Manchester Airport. Yada, yada, yada. Fine. The government will additionally look at the potential to extend NPR service beyond Chester to North Wales, further maximising these benefits. Fine, interesting, lovely. We're getting there. So third phase, phase 3, the bit that needs to be new. Let's see what it is actually going to be. For the third phase of NPR, the government will look at better cross-Pennine links over and above the TRU currently being delivered. Okay. As well as Manchester Leeds, Manchester to Bradford and Manchester to Sheffield are key corridors for this overall programme, and the government will build at this stage on the initial work done in phase 1 on these corridors. Right. So no actual commitment in that paragraph. Okay. The government is committed to supporting rail freight growth. Random. Yep. Okay, sure. You do that by building high-speed lines. No. Again, why do you do that? For anyone coming to this new who doesn't know why you do that, you build the high-speed line because that releases capacity in the existing railway for more local services, more freight services. See also 290 episodes of Rail Natter beforehand. Recognising it's significant. Okay, freight. This is aligned to the ambition of Yorkshire's rail plan for rail, blah, blah, blah. TRU investment will facilitate serious capacity that's existing. This will help, blah, 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 blah. So the only bit that's actually new is opportunities for further rail freight growth will be considered through the NPR scheme's development. So that's the only commitment to that. So that's nothing. 20. Integral to the way the government takes forward NPR is the principle of close collaborative working with local leaders. Okay, delivery boards, yada. Okay, that's nothing. So we're on to our last 2 paragraphs for phase 3 here. Not much time to talk about kind of one of the most intensive sections of in the country here. Beyond improving connections between northern cities, the government wait a minute, what? That was 20, this is 21. Oh. Okay. So phase 3 kind of isn't anything then, right? Okay. Right. Okay. Beyond improving connections between northern cities, the government wishes to safeguard future growth for the long term by ensuring that the West Coast Main Line... Pause for a second. Take note that one of the major points of this announcement is to give an excuse to refresh the safeguarding power over what's left of HS2 north of Birmingham that was going to expire pretty soon, like in a matter of days. So, yeah. So let's see. Let's see about that. So we will ensure that the West Coast Main Line corridor, which serves 6 of the country's largest cities, offers sufficient capacity in terms of both train paths and seat numbers and good connectivity in terms of reliability, journey times and frequency. Well, no, you're not, because you cancelled HS2. So you're not. Like that 10 years ago, sorry, let me just count. Sorry, yeah. 17 years ago, that was a necessary project. Like a necessary project for capacity. We've had the best part of 2 decades of growth since then. Less than 5 years of blippy, but we're now back above pre-COVID levels, remember? So we've had, let's call it around decade and a half, right? Or even just a decade of growth since then that is needing to be accommodated. And HS2 was the solution to that. So if you're not instating that, then you're not doing that. But anyway, okay, in order to achieve this, the government is therefore also setting out its intention to ultimately deliver a full north-south new line between Birmingham and Manchester. Okay. Which can also support capacity and connectivity to wider blah, 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 blah. Right, fine. The future use of the NPR line for London and Birmingham services is therefore an integral part of the strategic objectives for NPR overall. Building on and enhancing the benefits and connectivity that the proposed Liverpool-Manchester route will provide. Having this intention has been a key factor in deciding to proceed with the Liverpool-Manchester route via Manchester Airport over potentially cheaper alternatives. So it's basically like, yeah, we kind of maybe might deliver the HS2 because we know that eventually we'll have to, but someone else's problem, not ours. So that's kind of a glimmer of possible hope there. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Right, last paragraph. It doesn't actually commit to anything, of course, but it's worthy of note. Oh, the wonderful sentence here, though. However, this is not a reinstatement of HS2, and the government is yet to determine exactly what will be delivered and to what specification. Given the lessons from the historic matter of HS2, the government believes now is not the time to take these decisions on either the design standards or delivery schedule of such a route, and significant further work is required to develop plans before such decisions are made. Plans that will be the same as they looked originally, because that's what you need to deliver, because that's the basis on which they were developed originally. Current expectations are that delivery timelines for these ambitions would follow completion of HS2 Phase 1 in the South and Midlands and NPR in the North, implying delivery in the 2040s at the earliest. Wop wop for anyone wanting to use the West Coast Main Line without it being totally congested, but anyway. However, in the meantime, the government is acting responsibly to safeguard the long-term future of the country, and as such, while this work continues, the government's existing land holdings between the West Midlands and Crewe will be retained. Sucks to be you, Leeds and the East Midlands. Wah, wah. You're not getting any safeguarding. That's gone. Tremendous. So they're protecting Phase 2A and Phase 1A. Oh, what the stupid phasing. I'll show you the map in a second. So that's just about, like, we're not going to totally get rid of that, but we don't want to think about it, and don't shout at us, please. So, marvellous. That's the proposals then. So what's actually being proposed? What do we actually get? This is really the question, isn't it? Like, what are we actually getting? Yeah, Phase 3 is just a new line between Huddersfield and Bradford and upgrades between Manchester and Sheffield. I'm not... Yeah, that's what Michael C thinks it's a new line between Huddersfield and Bradford. I'm not convinced it's even that. But yeah, that's sort of that. And upgrades between Manchester and Sheffield. Yeah. Right, so the zenith of what we're having proposed to us... Oh, let's get my little face up in the corner. The zenith of what was being proposed to us was this... high-speed network. Why is high-speed important? Because high-speed delivers the better connectivity that we should get. Why shouldn't we have high-speed between some of the biggest cities in Europe, let alone in the UK? We should get that. But also because of everything it unlocks on the existing railway network, which is a massive ability to densify services, because the problem services on the existing railway are the non-stopping long-distance ones that get in the way, particularly when they're going faster than everything else, because that means you have to leave a huge gap in the timetable. Those who watch Rail Natter regularly will know this, but those of you who are new, hello to you. I've explained this many times, and they're past episodes. If you want to know which are the best episodes, then the Discord server is probably a good place to go. People will point in the right direction. But you can find them fairly easily. So here is what was promised in 2020. What do we now have in 2026? Wop, wop. This is it. This is all we're getting in terms of new high-speed infrastructure. And also, whether it's high-speed or not is also slightly in question. So it's a bit of a, is it actually even going to be high-speed? Who knows? Let's go with probably. And you can see there's a bit of HS2 and a bit of the original NPR. You see there's a slight tweak to the alignment now because there's the extra Liverpool Gateway station being added. But that's nominally what we have today in terms of new infrastructure. It's a bit less than there used to be, isn't it? Quite a lot less in the north. And I think this map is the really important one to give an idea to people why some of us, maybe me, maybe not, who knows, might be a little bit angry about what we've been given in the north in terms of a commitment and the timeline for its delivery. Some of us might find that disappointing. By the way, it's worth saying that what's been left is exactly what was in the May 2025 Connecting the Northwest report, which we went through in a previous episode. So you can have a look at that. Pick it up. This was, it turns out that embarrassing the government by putting those proposals next to Crossrail and East West Rail successfully embarrassed the government into doing something up here. So, yes, interesting. So there we go. So that's that. No, need to make my face half-sized again. Right. So what else is going on? Look, I have green screen. I'm just not very good at using it. Burnham's Underground Station announced at the same time today was a Greater Manchester Combined Authority report, I think, rather than a council report, into what an underground station at Manchester Piccadilly would look like. And this is a picture of what it would look like. Burnham really banging the drum of this is what we will get, an underground railway station. And so, which is interesting. It's the right thing to do, so long as it is suitably future-proofed. If you're talking about an underground 2-platform, potentially even 4-platform station, that's not enough. And fitting something more substantial underground will be tricky. But yeah, Burnham's been pushing that hard. what else is popping around? Well, the last question really to answer is, what do we actually need? What do we need in the area? Well, quite a bit. And I cover that in a decent amount of detail in episode 222. Conscious of time, I'm not going to go into it now, but go back to that episode and we talk in pretty decent depth about what a high-speed rail network for the UK, or for the whole UK and for Ireland, in fact, needs to look like. Cannot recommend that episode enough as the kind of the benchmark of what should be getting delivered, with my puzzled-looking face there. Right, so for those who subscribe to the £5 and above Patreon tiers, you will be getting an additional Q&A session tonight on this. We're going to do all the chat we can about what it's supposed to look like. That's at 9:30 tonight. So come along, and we're going to be answering those questions in detail. Some news, though, now, and we start by going back to the Islamic Caliphate of NYC and having a look at what success the congestion charging has been having. A lot is the answer, because, funnily enough, even for drivers, average speed during commuting has increased substantially, thanks to the congestion charge. More importantly, speeds of buses, speeds have improved greatly, and also it has driven more traffic onto the subway as well. So generally, oh look, congestion charging works pretty damn well. So that's nice. It's good. Well done, Manhattan. Good things have happened. And Kathy Hochul, screw you. Right, next. An interesting little newsy tidbit is that there's been a new statutory instrument placed by the Rail Minister, which is loosely interesting and worth picking up. You can Google this and find out what's going on. It came into force just at the end of last year. There's a whole load of stuff it went through. It updated the use of e-cigarettes. So it's basically like if you're vaping, the bylaws now say you can't on railway premises and trains. It fixed a load of stuff related to the Strategic Rail Authority that's been tidied up. It basically started clarifying that stuff about station car parking. Stuff about vehicles being able to be removed, fine, and so on and so on. Replacing the word penalty with fine to make it clear that this refers to a criminal, not a contractual penalty. Amending the definition of operator to make sure it clear that it includes successor organisations of the operators listed. Fine. But most important, of course, is that Articles 3, 5 to 10 and 12 to 20 make the bylaws woke. Hell yes, we have woke bylaws because they have got rid of gendered language. They have gender neutralified, they themified the railway bylaws. So Trump is wrong. Woke 2 is back. It's back, baby. They've wokeified the railway bylaws. So they've made it so it's not stupid and pointlessly exclusive, and all the weird, stupid language you have to do when you say he, but then you have to say, oh, by the way, when we say he, we also mean she and possibly a load of other pronouns. No, just use gender neutral pronouns. It's fine. It's easy. It makes your documents read better. So, woke is back. Some other kind of good stuff happening. Pavement parking. There's quite a bit has just snuck through about pavement parking. And there's a whole plan about drivers that we're going to go through at some point, I hope. A little bit interesting to go through that and see how it relates to wider integrated transport ideas. But on pavement parking, it looks like there's a beefing up of local powers to enforce pavement parking, pending further details. But yeah, there's worth having a little read of the government response to the pavement parking consultation. Everyone hates it, apart from the people who pretend they hate it and don't because they do it all the time. But for the most part, it's a nuisance that needs to be fixed, and I hope we might actually see some progress on that front. So that's good news. I never like using those two letters together, but yeah, 2026 is the year of AI, washing and burning. Yes, let's just have a look at the FT in relation to this. There's a really interesting set of graphs here that kind of detail the surge in stocks of various sort of technological trends. The first one is the railways, so you'd see the nice sort of peak in Railway Mania in the UK there, so which is kind of fun. The dot-com bubble, and they're showing the S&P 500 and showing the peak that's going to find comparing the two, and also the AI boom, again using the S&P 500. So it's talking about market capitalization as a share of GDP, and Well, the railways market capitalization was an enormous amount of GDP because we didn't do anything else. So that was wowzer. Dot-com bubble substantially less, and AI similar-ish, except let's not worry about the fact that it's very clearly a bubble, though. Uh-oh. Now, what else should we be worried about? Oh, AI-related investment drove all of US GDP growth in the first half of 2025. Uh-oh. Well, that's probably fine. I wouldn't worry about that. Not something to worry about. Meanwhile, of course, the US continues to do full blast empire shit on everyone. In this case, beating down on the OECD to make sure that what was supposed to be a landmark deal that set a minimum global corporate tax of 15% doesn't apply to US companies. What? US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, look at this guy, greasy, said that the agreement would ensure that US headquartered companies would only be subject to US global minimum taxes. Oh, well, that's nice for them, isn't it? Huh, interesting. Of course, the whole point was that US companies like Apple and Google and Amazon might start paying some tax, but alas, not. And on the theme of everything that we've been talking about today in terms of project costs, I just have one thing to say to everyone who keeps harping on about infrastructure project costs, which is shut up. Who cares? Do you want to talk about infrastructure project costs forever and never deliver anything, or do you just want to build the infrastructure? Because frankly, I'm bored of the conversation about costs. We've been listening to talking about project costs for electrification, for high-speed lines, forever, and we'll never solve it until we actually commit to doing things. Do we want to do the things? Maybe just commit to building the things and then talk about bringing costs down rather than infinite cost discussions that get us nowhere and, by the way, constantly miss the point, and in fact, for the most part, are often a smokescreen to allow government to avoid making much bigger macroeconomic changes to the way that the country functions. And because if we did some of that stuff, maybe we'd actually solve the problem. But no, talking about project costs and making it seem like it's some sort of engineering problem suitably offsets all the responsibility and blame. So stop it, shut up. The FT did a pretty interesting little article. I mean, the article itself, I have to say, was pretty poor. But there's some nice graphics here showing a comparison between Lyon-Turin, Chuo Shinkansen, and HS2. These are all to scale-ish in terms of the distances covered, so that they're nominally comparable, other than the fact that London to Birmingham is basically in flat terrain. It's just that, people along there are very grumpy about railways appearing because it might impact on their utter monoculture of agricultural environment that they live next door to. So there's some interesting comparisons. But as I say, the whole exercise is pointless and useless. We will not learn anything from this exercise. What is there to learn? It's like talking about blood pressure constantly. It's like, oh, blood pressure. It's like, no, what is causing the high blood pressure? Stop talking about blood pressure as if that's the disease. It isn't. There's a disease causing the blood pressure. Talk about the disease, because then you might be able to cure it. Anyway, there we are. There's an interesting comparison. Again, though, I continue to challenge the veracity of these. This is from the Transit Cost Project, which I've supported a little bit back in the day, but they've gone a bit Create Streetsy, Britain Remade-y, and I'm nervous about some of the stories they're telling. And frankly, again, I don't care. Shut up about it. Don't care. Right. And if you want to learn more about why things like HS2 cost so much, don't look at this. Look at the Rail Natter episode we did not that many episodes ago, talking about why we can't do this anymore. Go back to the previous Rail Natter where you can actually, it's a few episodes ago, where you can go in and pick that up. What was I going to say here? Oh, yeah, right. It's Rail Natter. That's the news done. Again, I host, James produces and edits, and we're looking for a production assistant. I'm nearly finished writing the role description and a bit of a job role sort of spiel. There's some fair detail in there, all sorts of bits of detail out there, which I'll kind of allow people to request, and I'll send a PDF. I'm not just going to make it completely open publicly. If you send a quick, but yeah, for the moment, a reminder. What I want is about 300 words. But don't send them until I've given you what you're looking for. I'm looking for someone who understands the show. I'm looking for someone who it will be paid. I think I'll be looking to pay £180 a month, by the way, just to give you an idea. It's going to be paid, not a huge amount. but it's something. It's not a full-time job. It's a part-time job. You should understand the show. You should care about the show, but you should also be capable at doing the socials, capable at kind of a bit of graphic design, and I'm happy to do a bit of training on some of that stuff to give the house style, because the whole point of this is house style. But I want you to be involved, part of the show. You'll be in a regular weekly meeting with James and myself. There'll be a bit of time for you to ramp up, but you'll be doing things like mostly inviting guests. You'll be doing things like research for future episodes, bit of thumbnail generation. You'll be doing clipping of the most recent episode and of past episodes, crucially, to find content, those fun rail nattery moments that have been lost to time in 3-hour-long episodes, finding those good bits and bringing them out into short sections and starting to give us sort of some more frequent content to broaden the appeal of the show. End of February will be the cut-off date for those applications. So by the start of February, I'm hoping to have got that role description out. Frankly, I intend to do it before that. It is something that could be done around a day job, I think. Good question. So, that is a Rail Natter episode. We've managed to do that within an hour. Look at that. I thought that would go horribly wrong, but we've done pretty well there. Let's go big face. I'm extremely warm, but we're doing all right, everyone. So next week's going to be a bit of a pre-record because I'm going to be in Parliament, which I'd forgotten about until I got an email a couple of days ago reminding me of that fact. What am I going to be in Parliament about? Well, bonus people, you'll find out, because I'll probably do the bonus episode from London again, because that kind of worked, the signal being okay, as long as I don't have 2% battery. What the pre-record will be on, not decided yet. It might be that I end up doing the East Yorkshire thing as a pre-record. We'll chat about that in the bonus episode in half an hour's time. In any case, the usual other plugs. Just generally, thanks everyone for watching. This has been a fun one and an interesting one, and hopefully I've given a reasonably even-handed account of what we're being given or not given. Is it a cancellation of what? Is it a formal cancellation of what was? I don't know. It's more than we got in Chaos Mode Network North. It's more than we got in the IRP in theory, or is it? Probably about the same. But anyway, let's find out. Which only really remains for me to say a tremendous and deep, heartfelt thank you to everybody. Rachel told Tracy today she would get her trams. Is she telling the truth, or is it more likely that the Rowie will become Yorkshire's county dish? Well, I leave that to you to have a think about what that means. But for me, if you've delayed a project by 10 years, that's the same as cancelling it. Cheerio, everybody. Cheerio!